Guys, the new iPad Air M2 has released already. Well, essentially, I'm going to say it has, and I want to explain to you why. Now, don't think this is a clickbait video or anything like that. Let me fully explain everything to you, because it could potentially save you a lot of money. But just before that, let's go over the specs of the iPad Air M2. So as you can see right here, we've been told that the new iPad Air M2 will essentially probably be the same design as the last iPad Air. So this is the 10.9 inch, but it may have an 11 inch screen. And this is the same body as we've had with the previous iPad Pros, but we will get an M2 chipset inside of it. The M2 chipset is going to be the biggest change. The only other major big change as well is that the actual sort of main camera will be horizontal instead of vertical. We'll still get the sort of Touch ID button. And the other thing to mention here is that we could be getting the brand new 12.9 inch iPad Air, what is basically essentially on, or is based on, the 12.9 inch iPad Pros that we have right now. And with this, we may be getting a mini LED display and Pro Motion. So this could mean Pro Motion for the first time on both the iPad Airs. So this could be the 11 inch and the 12.9 inch iPad Air. And this is going to be absolutely incredible. Well, it does sound incredible, but does this sound kind of familiar to you from something around about 18 months ago? Because it does to me. Well, let me tell you something. I bought this iPad here, which cost me $570 US, and essentially it is the iPad Air M2, except for it has a Pro name. This iPad has an M2 inside of it, it has Pro Motion, and also has 128 gigabytes of storage. Yeah, it's an iPad Pro, but not the new iPad Air M2. What Apple are essentially going to be doing at the Let Loose event is relaunching this iPad again, and instead of calling it an iPad Pro, they're going to call it an iPad Air. Even though we've got this 18 months ago, and it's going to be essentially exactly the same model. Well, I say essentially the same model. You will get the more secure Face ID over the Touch ID on an iPad Air. And also, like I said, this iPad Pro starts at 128 gigabytes, and the current iPad Air M1, for example, starts at 64 gigabytes. And personally, I think that's going to stay, but even if it does, it'll be the same. It'll be 128 gigabytes. Come on, it's not going to be 256 gigabytes, is it, for an iPad Air? Also, the iPad Air does not have Thunderbolt, but just has USB-C, whereas the iPad Pro does have Thunderbolt USB 4 speed, so far better USB ports. Then again, like I mentioned already, we're rumoured to get the 12.9 inch mini LED display for the iPad Air, but yet you can get this for the iPad Pro M2 12.9 inch model too. And I know what you're going to say, Matt, you're holding here an 11 inch iPad Pro, and you can't even compare a 12.9 inch iPad Air because it hasn't been released yet. Well, in fact, I think I can, but I'll explain it right after this. So then guys, just quickly, have you been looking for a security camera what is completely wireless and is also completely dependent on its own power? This is the IMOU Cell Go, and it gives an amazing 2K footage of wherever you point it outside. It is simple to install and has its own solar panel to give the camera power all the time, especially with its built-in 5000 milliamp battery. You have 4 gigabytes of storage built into the actual camera, but you also get a year's worth of cloud subscription also with the IMU, what's really awesome, so you can check out your footage on the go wherever you are. You can have nighttime footage done too, and even set up the camera to recognize unwanted guests on the camera. There are also loads of different modes that you can program on the app, and there's also things like a siren and two-way communication, what you can also use on this camera too. So if you want to have great security outside of your house, check out the IMOU Cell Go with all the information that's in the description on the bottom of this video. So go and check that out right now. Okay, it is true that we do not know the specs of the 12.9 inch iPad Air until it's officially released, but it's probably going to be the exact same specs as the 12.9-inch M2 iPad Pro with its screen technology and things like this, or it'll be worse. And again, that also gives me the reason to say buy yourself an iPad Pro, you know, M2 12.9-inch display, especially that you can pick them up for $750, as you can see right here, in really, really good condition. Now, the current iPad Air starts at $600, but I'm going to say this, it's very unlikely that the iPad Air 12.9-inch will cost, say, $150 at $750. I personally think it's going to cost probably $899 for the 12.9-inch iPad Air, in my own opinion there. It could be maybe $50 less, or maybe $50 to $100 more, because we know Apple are like, but the main thing is, you can pick up this iPad Pro, and essentially it's going to be exactly the same iPad, and yet it only costs $750. I think you're getting my point here. The new iPad Air is technically here, but just has a different name right now. I believe again that the M2 iPad Air will also be compatible with the same sort of accessories as the M1 iPad Air. And this is the same as for the M2 and M1 iPad Pros right now. So the same Magic Keyboard. And also this new rumored iPad Pencil, I believe it's going to be compatible with at least the M2 iPad Pro, if the M2 iPad Air is also compatible with this. And just in case you're going to say, well, Matt, the new iPad Air, well, to be honest, it's probably going to get longer software updates. Well, I don't believe that's going to be the case either. The iPad Pro has an M2 chipset inside it with 8GB of RAM, or sometimes even 16GB of RAM if you get a higher spec storage model. And essentially, this is what we're getting inside the iPad Air. It's the same chip, same amount of RAM, the 8GB version. Why would they prioritize the iPad Air to have more support than something that's got the exact same specs in an iPad Pro? Apple just not going to do that. To me, there are only two advantages of potentially getting yourself an iPad Air M2. And one is to do with the new horizontal sort of camera setup instead of a vertical camera setup like we have with the M2 iPad Pros right now. And the only other thing I can think of is to do with warranty, and that is you'll get a full year's warranty with Apple. But again, if you did buy a refurbished iPad Pro M2 right now, you can always contact the seller and ask them how much warranty is left on it. And if you're getting 6 to 8 months of warranty, I think you're going to get yourself a bargain there, especially that Apple keep the warranty with the actual device and not with the person who actually bought it. They don't actually ask for the receipts if you go into an Apple store. What they actually ask for is they actually ask for the actual iPad and the serial number, and they check it on their system, and if it's under warranty, they will do any kind of fixes or anything that needs to be done to that iPad, you know, and it'll be sent away and you get your replacement parts or even a replacement iPad, to be honest. I think though we can wrap this up now. To me, the M2 iPad Air is too late to the party. iPad Pros with the M2 chipsets, they have depreciated in cost now in buying them, you know, second hand or refurbished now. And for that reason, especially that we've been told by rumors and what we can see, it's going to be literally like for like. I just really don't understand, you know, why Apple are trying to refurbish or remake this new iPad Air, apart from the, you know, the obvious reason, well, they have to, they're obligated because they've got the iPad Air line, and also the other thing a lot of you are going to be saying, well, it's just making more money, Matt, and that is true too. But my point is, I think you can see what I'm saying. Technically speaking, if you want to get yourself an iPad Air M2 right now, minus, say, possibly the warranty and that horizontal camera, it is here right now, and you may as well just go and buy yourself one of these instead. And with that, guys, I would love to know your thoughts on this too. What do you think Apple are trying to play here? Let me know in the comments below. And also, if you have enjoyed watching this video, please do press the like button. And also, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews and comparisons, please also make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell too. Until next time, guys, I'll see you really soon. Bye bye.